So start off with the name of the show.
I think that's kind of corny to start off with the name of the show. I don't like to be like, yo, this is In Love for the Living. Like, you know, we'll deal with that later. Let's just get into, you know, because we know who you are. You're wifey for lifey. So I like to showcase the fact that we have solutions. Mm-hmm. And, you know, instead of complaining about the problems, we actually have a architected plan to deal with them. First off, we fought really hard to have a baby.
Yes.
And, you know, we went through the IVF thing. We took loss, and then we had to regroup, and then we had to architect, get strong, and look at what we wanted our future to be like.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got yourself, we went, you know, car, bag, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, all that stuff. I was able to steal your drugs, so I was able to be all right for a little while.
Yeah.
You know, worked out. You were able to, we constructed a plan. We architected exactly a schedule. It was like, what was it, 3 months?
It was 13 weeks.
13 weeks. We went on vacation, went to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. You shot your show, which was therapeutic within itself.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
And what we were explaining to people was the number one thing was we didn't want anybody to feel sorry for us.
No.
Right? So we did therapy publicly, number one, to showcase that we're normal people and that we go through it like everyone else, but to show people how to deal with it. And also so that we didn't have to explain ourselves every time somebody saw us.
Right.
And, you know, I felt like you had a great pregnancy.
Yeah, I did. With Dusko, it was an easy pregnancy. It was nice because we got to enjoy the summertime, and then he was born in the fall. So like, right, it wasn't like uncomfortably hot or anything like that. So we got to be by the pool, enjoy the sunshine, did yoga and meditated a lot, to make sure.
What was dope
stay
was
really calm.
What was dope was it happened during the pandemic, which was like a gift and a curse within itself.
Right.
Because we had to stay in the house, and I ended up spending a lot of time doing Zooms with the OSG.
Yes.
We met the OSG. That was our introduction to the OSG, and through the OSG, when they found out I was having a baby and they got with you, you know, Jacko and Dr. Action, they just jumped you, Denise, and gave you a curriculum.
Yes.
You know, on how to actually start teaching the baby in the womb.
Yes.
What was that? You want to explain that?
Yeah. So a few things that I've taken from that is starting a schedule with the baby in the womb. So the baby's developing and learning everything about you, listening to your heartbeat, listening to your patterns. Baby hears what's going on, sees, can tell different lighting and certain things. So when you develop a pattern for the baby, they automatically come out understanding that pattern, and they can see the things that are similarity. So for the pattern, for our pattern for Dusko as our routine, the big one started at night with like shower time. So you take the shower, and it was bath time. Try and play similar music to what I would play for him. And then we do a massage, which is the same thing that I do with him now. So we shower, massage, and then when we lie in the bed, I would read him a book. But actually, I didn't read him a book. I would play books read by my family. And so I'd have my family send me audio files of books that I had sent them to read. And, you know, some really special ones for me were my mom and my grandmother. They read books to Dusko in Spanish. And so when he came out of the womb, he already knew their voices.
What book did I read?
You read the box book.
I did.
Yeah.
All right. This is Daddy. You're going to be hearing my voice a lot, so just get used to it. This is it. But I'm going to read you this book now, and I'm going to read you this book later. It's not a box. It just says it's not a box.
You have to read that to him some more.
You should read it again. He'll probably be familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. And I took that box book idea, and that's what helps create Dusko Goes to Space. That's why you tell him there's a box in Dusko Goes to Space.
I know. I basically gave you the idea for Dusko Goes to Space.
Anyways,
so I told you the story.
The book
wrote it.
that Damon read was about a box, and I would play that for him. So then when I ended up started writing the book of Dusko Goes to Space, Damon's character in the books tells Dusko that there's a box in the garage. So it all kind of like circled back, and it was like everything that we were talking about. So starting that pattern.
So what month did we start that? Because we were talking to Sharon, who's
it was about I know I was really big into the OSG. They're helping me a lot around 6 months, because it was the same time that I was like, we went to Kanye's ranch out there, and I know I was doing Zooms with them around that same time. And then also another thing that I did is I put flashcards all over the house for Damon and I to say words in Spanish, so that Dusko would hear our voices saying Spanish words and different things, so that we really wanted him to be bilingual.
Another thing that we did also was we went to the ranch with Kanye, and we worked. You took pictures.
Right.
You were creative. But anyway, back to the
his mother never stopped moving. So
yeah, you never stopped moving, and as a result, he never stops moving. So you, and again, I know how important and how it affected our baby Dusko. Like, he came out familiar with people based on their voice.
Yes.
When he finally got in front of his grandmother, your mom, he was very familiar with her. Even like, it's funny because I felt like he was familiar with Bub's voice.
Absolutely.
Because we were on the phone a lot. But, we have friends now that are having babies. And because it worked out so dope, like Sharon and his girl are having a baby, I was like, you got to make sure that at least the people that we can talk to that are having children have the opportunity to do this. For me, being a parent is, you want to be the best one that you can, but you don't really know how.
Right.
You know how to survive, but you don't know exactly based on like human behavior what works the best. So having like the OSG around to tell us that based on metrics of actual, case study of children, it was to me it's worked impeccable.
Yes.
So anyway, cut to you made the book, you get this curriculum. We got to like what you've done for me is you've architected a family. We have a family. Like I'm not like a visiting father. I'm with you every day. I'm with the baby every day. And again, we didn't want to ever break that up. So we do the book, and through the help of the OSG, we're able to introduce it to the principals. You get for you, me, I want to do everything independent, completely independent, but you were really adamant about having a publisher.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's not like you could still be independent because you made the book, you got it illustrated with Alana and Jen, you did all those things.
Yeah.
And,
I did put it out independently at first.
Yeah, we did put it out independently at first, but you always said, I need a publisher. And it was cool because Jacko gave us the opportunity to read the books to our kids during COVID.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, Principal Jacko, she, I call them my my testing group. They were one of the first groups of kindergarten through 5th grade students that I got to read the book to, and I got to ask them different questions and see how they liked the book, and they really loved it. And actually, when I had finished the second book, I got to go and read that to them, and they knew that it was the first time I'd ever read it aloud. So these groups of kids, they're like my they're growing up with Dusko. So the year before, when they had heard Dusko and then we actually brought Dusko to the schools, it was really exciting for them to learn all this stuff. And Jacko's such a good principal that during COVID, the cognitive skills of her students all went up because she allowed people like me and Alana to come in and to be able to read and to talk to the kids so that they realize that an author or an illustrator is another person. It's not just, is also used to be a kid like them. So they are not, because sometimes when you look at the book and you're like, you see the name on the bottom of the book, you don't really realize like, oh, it's like a normal person. Like I could talk to them. Like that's something I could be. It seems so far away. But when you're able to bring artists and authors and people into the classroom to talk to the kids, it reevaluates that and they're like, wow, I could actually really be someone like that too. I know that was impactful for me when I was a child. So any principal that's able to do that and provide those kind of things for their kids is monumental into changing a life. I mean, I probably, the reason I probably wrote Dusko Goes to Space is because I had an astronaut come to my school when I was in elementary school.
So that worked out so well. And, you know, there's one thing about it being independent. You know, there's this creative process and the freedom that you enjoy where you can just get caught up in the creative part of it. Mm-hmm. And you think that, you know, just because you've completed the creative part that you're finished, you know, and when you're doing something at a professional level, you know, you have to get out there and market. Mm-hmm. You have to get out there and sell your product.
Yes.
And, you know, what we decided to do was go into every school because it worked so well with Jacko and based on what the OSG was telling us, in every market, and read to kids that may be in economically challenged environments and may not have, because the school's budgets aren't so big, the opportunity to have someone and come in and give them that experience.
Right. And
give them that experience while selling the book.
Right.
And, you know, but also, like you're going into one of the better private schools out here this week. Mm-hmm. And we're going to my old school in New York.
Two of them.
Two of my old schools, Dwight and PS6, my elementary and my junior high school.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me, that's like what I would consider, you know, where the one percenters get educated. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes, you know, the 99% don't get that same education that the 1% can. But we're making sure that this education that the 1% gets, that the 99% get it as well.
Right.
With the same kind of creativity and actually a little better.
Yes.
So what was dope about this weekend in particular was because, number one, we were out of our comfort zone. We were out of our backyard. We weren't in New York.
Right, yes.
And last year, I went to an event. I got booked for a gig for 420. It was like cannabis literacy in Virginia, and you came with me. And through that event, I was able to meet some really cool people. Right. Like, you know, Stephanie Morales, who is the DA, the district attorney out there. And I remember them telling me, like, that's the district attorney. And I was like, that is not a district attorney. You know what I'm saying? And she was dancing and having a good time, and she looked great. Yeah. You know, she was balling. But when we finally got to connect and have a real conversation, you know, she was explaining to me, she was like, you know, I'm holding cops accountable in Virginia, white cops at that. And no one talks about it. They always talk about when things, and no one, you know, is held accountable as relates to the cops, and, you know, which starts riots and causes division and separation. But they never ever showcase when there is accountability for the cops. Right. Especially if it's coming from a black woman, a woman of color. Yes. In that way. And, it, you know, I know the good things that I do, like the school stuff, unless we promote it, nobody else does. But, you know, let me not pay a bill, that's in the newspaper. Right. Let somebody accuse me of something, that's in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. Let me beat whatever someone accused me of doing, that's not in the newspaper. Can't be mad at it, it's just part of the game. So what we have to do as a culture, as like-minded people, is showcase the ones that deserve it. Right. And, you know, that's what I want to do, and that's how I want to leverage any celebrity that I have. is for those that I consider superheroes, and she's one of them.
Absolutely.
And, through your experience, who reached out to you?
Heather.
Okay, so I had been kicking it with Stephanie, but you had already been booked to talk at this, what is it?
Kennedy Angel Gowns infant loss gala. And Heather had reached out to me to be the keynote speaker, and we were going back and forth about talking about it. And, you challenged me. You're like, if you're going to go out there, you should try and book some schools. And, Heather, it took Heather a second, and she was like, okay, well, she reached out, and we weren't hearing any feedback at first. And then you were like, well, let me reach out to Stephanie. She could probably get some schools while we're waiting to hear back from what Heather reached out to.
Well, Stephanie's also a professor at a school.
Yeah.
As well.
So then all of a sudden we got flooded with schools that wanted us to come. Yeah. And it turned in from 1 day to 2 days.
3 days.
To 3.
2 days worth of school.
2 days worth of schools.
And 1 day
of the event.
Well, what was dope to me about that, number one, is we were out there solely for you, right? Solely for me to be your sidekick.
Yes.
Your personal assistant to support you. You being able to use your experience to help people. Initially, when we first went through, we knew that the reason why it went and happened to us was because we were strong enough to get through it and help others that weren't as strong as us. And this was exactly what I knew was going to happen. And you were going to have this opportunity to talk about your experience to show people how to navigate through it and how to come out of it. And, number one, I was really excited because I get excited to see you on the stage as opposed to you seeing me on the stage. I love to see you challenged like that and to see you reach your full potential. But then also you were booked for 5, it was like 7 schools, certain places, some politics got involved. We won't get into that. But at the end of the day, in 2 days, we did 5 schools.
Right.
And, watching you out there and you do like an hour show and watching how engaged you are and with the students, how happy the teachers and the principals are seeing their kids engaged. Stephanie was out there, and she went to every single show with us.
Yes.
But what I want to go back to is, after we booked the schools and after we decided, when we're going to get out there, we also gave another challenge to Heather, and that was to find a local designer that you could make a dress with.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Let's talk about that. Because, for us, when we go places, we like to get into the culture. We always know that there's cool people. In every town, there's cool people. You just got to find them. There's always those that stick out that aren't doing what everyone's doing, that have a certain amount of clarity and taste, sort of like you and Hilton Head. Like, I would have never expected to find a person as clear, as stylish, as fine, as clued in, as well-dressed as you and Hilton Head, but you obviously stood out in Hilton Head.
Thank you.
Well, you stand out, anywhere. That's why you pulled the whale. You know what I mean?
It's exactly why I pulled the whale.
Basically. But let's talk let's talk about that for a second.
Yes, so Damon was like, well, you should try and see if you can get a local designer to make you a dress because we're going to be in Virginia. And that was just such a good idea. That and Heather had been coming through on every request that we asked, and everything that we had asked of her, she was able to ask someone. And Virginia seemed like such a tight-knit community. They all really worked together so well that she reached out, and within like 6 hours, she had a designer. She's like, you can hit them, and we can talk to them. And that's how I met Alexis Heitzer.
What was the process?
So we did a Zoom. I first spoke with her on the phone, and then I was like, can we do a Zoom and we meet face to face? And then she did a fitting over Zoom, and she took my measurements. And then that night she went to find material.
Did you sketch?
Oh, yeah. So she took my measurements, and then we kind of talked, and I showed her like some images of dresses that I liked online. And then after the phone call, I was like, it'd just be easier if I just kind of drew drew my idea down, and so I took a sketch and I on just scrap paper and I sent it to her. And then she went out that night and she started looking for fabric, and I gave her so it kind of took her out of her element. She had never done a dress like this where it's like plain. I wanted it dark blue. I was like, just dark blue, plain, nothing, no sequins, no nothing in it, on it. And so it took her a couple different places to find the right fabric, but she eventually did. And yeah, she started making it, and then we were there the next day. So I feel like we talked to her on maybe Tuesday, and then we were there. What?
We were there on Thursday.
Thursday, and that Thursday she came and did the first fitting, and it was in a couple different pieces. And Damon voiced his concern, and we did our fitting.
Well, I had never seen her work before,
right.
So it was at that stage where certain things could be wrinkled or messed up if it gets sewn and it still looks a little bunchy.
Yeah.
But, and what ended up happening that night is they ended up, because she came over with the hair.
The hairdresser. So she could see my hair and we could talk about the style for the hair. Because I wanted kind of, it was more like a 50s kind of glam look for the style.
Yeah. And we ended up kicking it till like 1, 2 in the morning.
Absolutely. We drank. I was exhausted. Damon and I had flown. We stayed up until 1 the night before. Had to wake up at 3 o'clock to get in the car, go to the car, drive to the airport.
You got to remember, it's not just me and you getting in the car. It's the baby. It's Skylar.
Get into the car. We packed the night before. Got into the car. Then we got ready for the airport at 3. Got in the car. Drove to the airport. Then we took the flight, and then got there at 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. we went straight to the schools and just did 2 schools right back to back.
And it was cool because Stephanie definitely made sure we were okay.
Absolutely.
She picked us up in a Rolls Royce in the range.
Absolutely.
Made sure that we felt like we was with the DA.
Yes, we were.
And we went to the first school.
Churchview. I think it's called Churchview Elementary. This was the first school we went to.
I like that school.
Yeah.
I thought they really, I saw that they cared about the children.
Absolutely.
They were so well behaved.
It was a lot of kids sitting down on the ground for 45 minutes to have kindergartners through 5th graders all in the same room. And for me to do, sometimes I cater the content a little bit differently for older kids to elementary school kids, or for kindergartners. So it was very interesting for them all to be in the same room to be able to find a medium that they all were able to work with.
What's that feel like rocking the crowd? Because you were rocking, like the kids, when you come in after they hear you speak, they're yelling for you like you're like Miley Cyrus back in the day. Like it was cool when you were walking through the cafeteria and they want me, I'm chopped liver. When you're around and when you're
it's me and baby Dusko and Governor. Governor is a
nothing.
huge hit.
Mm-hmm. But it's cool. I get a chance to teach the kids or tell them from my voice how to dream a little bit. I'm a dream specialist. I get introduced as that.
Yes.
But I love seeing you tell them to do the affirmations, how they receive that.
Yes. That's always fun because it gives them a chance to be loud and.
Well, affirmations are important. And it's crazy because, again, I was always told that telling myself I was good meant I was conceited or cocky, but I never listened to that. I always told myself I was great. You know what I mean? No matter what, I was Dame Dash.
It worked out.
And it worked out, but, being able to have a child know that it's okay to give themselves accolades and be confident about it and to reassure themselves when no one else is telling them, you got to tell yourself sometime.
Absolutely.
But I love that. I love the ASL.
Yes, the sign language was really fun, and a couple of the schools actually had translators, which...
That school what school was that? The second school that had translators?
It was the second day that had
That was the second day? What school was that?
It was in Portsmouth, and it was in Hampton.
Yeah, and it was one school I went to. One of the teachers pulled me to the side.
That was the first day.
Yeah, and she brought a really cute little girl over, and was like, this little girl's parents are, can't hear. And that's what she speaks it. So when you had brought it up, her face perked up. She was so proud and excited. And she was like, I just, tell your wife how much we appreciated that, It's crazy because, I've rocked, I've performed different kinds of music in different kind of places, all kind of the garden, in that kind of level, stadiums. But nothing feels better than to see a child, feel good about himself or themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing something click in them, knowing that the trajectory of the rest of their life may change is based on something you told them for the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stephanie came up, and as a lawyer, a DA,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of little girls and little boys wanted to be lawyers, and to see that someone of color could be, a DA, the boss of lawyers, without compromise of who they are, still be cool, still dress well in the way they want to,
Yes.
still have fun. I definitely saw kids' eyes light up, and see that they actually have a roadmap to get there. And then she also had a solution in helping them. What was the program she had for them?
She has like a kind of like a summer program or something where she brings, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head.
So one of the best parts for me was the food in VA. We did not go to one spot, and you would think that because we're vegetarian or vegan-ish, that it would be hard to go into a place like Virginia that doesn't have so many places or restaurants, or isn't as big as LA or New York, that they had some good hood vegan food.
Yeah, it was delicious.
The first day was the Spanish spot.
Yeah, there was like Puerto Rican vegan food, which was crazy.
It was crazy. They had the empanadas. They had the rice with the chopped beef paws. Vegan, impossible. It was beyond. It was good.
And then we had the next day. There was kind of like more of a soul food kind of restaurant.
We went to a Jamaican restaurant.
Oh, it was Jamaican.
Was it Jamaican? I think it was because they had
because of the
oxtails.
oxtail things.
Yeah, that was in Hampton.
Yeah.
So we had lunch in Hampton, and then later
the lit chef came over and did dinner.
The lit chef came over and had it litty. She had the paws of blueberry meatballs.
They were crazy.
They were crazy. It was off the hook. It was, and the cabbage. It was a bunch of good. The cabbage in the other spot was great as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was off the hook. And then that night, that first night, you guys were just drinking wine and those.
Oh, macarons.
It was macarons.
Eating hummingbird macarons. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a macaron guy, but when I had one, it was off the hook.
It was like a cupcake. It was crazy.
And then at the next day, she came over, and I started to ask questions, and we found out that she makes cakes and cookies, and I put my order in.
She had to come over the next day with everything.
Next day. We went to go see Kev, and of course he had 10 Rolls Royces in the yard, but it was like, pick any one, and I was like, I'll take the Cadillac. But the Cadillac, I guess because it hadn't driven, after a while, the wheel went out.
Heather's husband
had to
deal with that.
But I guess it all worked out. But, overall, those 2 days and being able to talk to everyone that we got to talk to, I was surprised at how much culture there was and the different kinds of trauma that people had dealt with and still were succeeding and winning. Mm-hmm. It was nothing but CEOs. Everyone was a boss. And, I was really happy in it to link up like that. The next day, we went to, we got to hang out in the house. Oh, wait, but we can't forget about the dinner party, because it was like a dinner party when the chef came in. The lit chef came in, and everyone came through. Yeah. And it was a cool little vibe, a dinner party. Mm-hmm. People got to talk and interact, and
we learned about that program that's out there that empowers entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. What was it called? Because it seemed like they were all linked by that.
I have to find the name of that group because it was pretty impressive.
It was.
Yeah,
everyone knew each other and was trying to help each other.
All entrepreneurs, empowering. They gave like it was like a so many week course, and through the week course, you also got access to over $15,000 worth of like company development versus like graphic design, helping with your logos, and help just to promote your company.
Yeah, it's dope. So that was dope. You know, dinner to sit down. I got to talk, drink wine.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, homegirl brought over.
The catering company came over and did a spread.
Well, the catering company came over, did a spread. Of course, you asked them for light food so you could fit in your dress. Well, let's talk about the dress, because then you had another fitting. No,
Yep, the day before I had the a second fitting, and just to do little light alterations, and that was just a little bit. And then she finally brought the dress over at like 5 o'clock, right before we had to leave.
And then we almost had a little issue because she was ironing it.
I didn't want to even talk about that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, almost had a little, but we dealt with that. But the dress was immaculate. It was impeccable. I mean, you had your Glam Squad going. Yeah. You know, so you had your hair getting done and your makeup being done at the same time.
And then we nails the night before.
The nails the night before. And I didn't get my feet done because it was so late and you guys were talking so much, but it's all good.
I know.
But they all had what was her business called? It was like kind of sexual. Get nailed by.
Get nailed.
What was the name of it though?
Have you been nailed?
Yeah, she was cool. And again, they all were entrepreneurs, even down to the barber that came to give me a haircut. Bink came through, old producer from Rockefeller. I had to put him on to some things. But, you know, and then there was the actual ball.
Yeah, and that was at the Norfolk Library. And it was really beautiful venue. And we had a speech, and we went downstairs, and there was a dinner and performances. We took pictures, and there was DJ.
Well, there was a lot of trauma in the room. Everyone had been through something. And again, you were the keynote speaker, and I got to be your assistant up there. You got to show your trailer for your documentary. But again, being a source of strength for those people is a big deal. It's almost like, you know, strong people go through things just so that they can teach people how to deal with them.
Yeah.
I don't feel that God gives you anything that you cannot deal with, you know.
Yes.
He's constantly challenging us, and God can be harsh.
Yes.
But sometimes you got to go through some pain so you can help more people not go through some pain.
Right.
But, you know, I could see the pain in a lot of those people's faces, you know, and you know, not everyone gets to deal with things the way we get to deal with things. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a great trip. I was really happy to get to make these relationships, to watch you blossom and, you know, become this source of strength for people. And, you know, I look forward. We have a lot more to do. I guess I got to go to Gary next week. Then after that, we're doing 10 days in New York. You're doing school this week. You know, that's really become your thing, is like selling your books that you made. And again, not depending on anyone else to do it for you.
Right.
You got to do it yourself.
And I'm doing an event here in June at the library for reading of my book. A signing for my book at the library here.
Oh, that's fly. Here? At the
Yeah.
library?
At the library here.
When?
June 19th.
Really? So what, people get to come by it? What I want to see...
It's like a whole night for me.
See now I got to challenge you now, because you've done this in the schools. You're rocking crowds for an hour in the schools, but I look at that like your promo tour. Now I need to see you actually do a show off a school site, promote it.
I'm doing it at the library.
And possibly you're doing it at the library.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the whole show at the library.
Yeah.
Oh, and then sell a book.
Yeah.
In that same library.
Yeah.
I'm saying like an auditorium or a venue, not a library. You know, where people
we
have to promote
do it here, or we'll do it at the theater in town.
When?
I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Well, this is our process a lot. You know, we get through one thing, which opens the door to another, and then, you know, I try to hammer down on the when.
Maybe like November-ish time when we come back.
November? In November?
What's wrong with November?
So many. That's like 6 months from now.
Well, do you ever want to go to Wyoming?
Well, we're gonna go to Wyoming. You could do it in Wyoming. There's a venue you could do.
Yeah,
it
I could do it in Wyoming.
Why
I'll do it in Wyoming. Okay.
Why does it doesn't have to be Florida?
I'll do it in Wyoming.
So
I thought you said here. I'm challenging
I want you to do
here.
one here, wherever we're at. Wherever the here is.
Wherever the here is.
At the time that you're ready to do it.
Okay, I'll do one in Wyoming.
I'd like to do it.
That means I got some phone calls, and you know who you are if I'm going to call you.
So that means that you have to do them in. You can't do it till we get until August, July. I guess so. We have enough time. I mean, I got my movie coming out.
We literally are booked until July.
You're right. So it's crazy because, again, we architect all these things, which are our dreams, but when our dreams come true, it doesn't mean that we have any relaxation ahead of us. It means a lot harder work.
And we have a toddler.
And we have a baby that we want to never, ever be away from, but for so long, a couple of minutes or hours.
He has a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. I don't know where he gets that from. But, my dream was to become a director, make movies independently without anybody telling me how to do it, and be able to distribute it.
Mm-hmm.
So we made this movie, The Prince of Detroit, with Tommy Duncan. And, everyone's going to Tubi now, and that's cool when you can make money there. But, narrative and perception-wise, I want to make sure people know that I could do whatever the big boys could do and do it on my own. So without an agent, I was able to get that deal with AMC, and we got 60 theaters, and we'll see what other licensing opportunities present themselves from that.
Yeah.
And we got this studio. We're at American New Studios, which is your studios. We got to relaunch. We got to launch a new network, the American New Network. It's a lot of work to do, but independence comes with fight. But as long as you're fighting for what you love, with who you love, for what you love, then it doesn't feel like a fight or work. It feels necessary. The other day I was talking to my daughter and...
Which one?
To Ava. Well, I talk to Ava and Tula every day, most days. But we were talking about the fact that I don't have a face routine, and I didn't take care of my face.
Ava and Tallulah, you're talking about this too?
No, just Ava. But Ava was telling me, and then I told you, and I got this new face routine. So it's a lot of what's the routine we're doing now?
Well, there's a wash.
Okay.
And then there's a retinol serum that we put on at night.
Is that what that is?
Mm-hmm. Mm. And then there is a hyaluronic acid, which is cream, after that. And then that's for the nighttime. And then during the day, it's a rinse off. And then there's like a vitamin C serum and sunscreen.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like the last 2 days it's worked. And I was giving my beard a shot, bring the beard back in, see how that goes. So,
you know who's the product? I found the product through Mike's wife. She was talking about it.
Which Mike?
Mike. Dusko. Catch Mike.
Oh, word? Mm-hmm. My man Mike Boxer?
Yeah.
Oh, word?
His wife was, she was actually modeling for the company.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's dope. She has a new clothing line.
She's amazing. Yeah. And I was like, anything that you are going to put your face on, I believe is going to be good.
Wow.
And so she's like, I have no affiliation with this, but she's like, I've used it. And 10 days after I used it, everybody started saying stuff to me. So.
Oh, that's what I'm, that's the yeah, it does. You said it works out.
Mm-hmm. She said, so I was like, and it's like clean and the all the ingredients are really nice and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So, were you nervous about doing your speech?
Yes.
How'd you get over your nerves?
Having you standing right next to me.
That's what it was?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't seem nervous.
Oh, really?
Uh-uh.
When I started crying, that's when I knew I was nervous.
No, you were crying.
Oh, listen, look, who just texted me?
Who?
Hummingbird.
Oh, wow. She must know.
Macaroons.
But we're actually on a Zoom.
I know, but that was funny.
I know, but so yeah. A lot of times people are scared to talk publicly, and I remember this was full circle for me because I remember when I used to just ask you how you felt, you would cry.
Oh, see, that's why I did that. It's because you were asking me about.
Oh, that was your deflection?
Yeah.
But you can't do that while we're on. And you can't have your fears make you do anything you feel like it. It's just ridiculous. But to see you actually be able to face your fears these days and be able to talk, especially about things that have traumatized us together and things we had to fight for, that was like full circle for me. It's crazy what sometimes things that hurt you so bad, how strong it makes you, and makes you get enough courage to push past your fear to speak about things that are important.
Yeah. Well, you do such a good job. You connect with the crowd and are able to speak to them, and it's almost like you're speaking to each individual person, which is something when I do these more, I want to be more like that and that's something everybody says when I read the book to the kids, is that I'm not reading off paper. I'm actually, I have it memorized and I can.
Well, what was cool about my part of the speech was I was able to take part of your show and add it to my speech immediately.
Right.
In that moment. And, you were studying, you went, did you did research, a little AI for your speech, but then you ended up not even using a lot of that.
It just seems so dry just to read a
100%.
speech.
Yeah, reading speeches for me, I don't like to read read the speech off of, it just seems a little mechanical. What I might do is write down, but I haven't done that in a while either, but I used to write down things that I wanted to make sure that I brought up, key points where I might look at it.
You're good at that. You can just do that.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I was remembering the first speech that I ever kind of had to make was kind of like for backstage, the press conference. I had to write a speech before, and I was like, who would have thought? but I remember, who would have thought and who would have thought? It's funny. And
then what ended up happening? You just wrote down key points that you said, or did you?
I remembered it, but I also remembered me being. I don't like being strategic about what I'm gonna say, because then it doesn't seem like it's real. You're saying what you think people want to hear, not exactly what you feel.
Yeah.
So as long as I kind of when I have a conversation, I don't write the conversation. I don't know what I'm gonna say before I say it.
Right.
But I usually am able to articulate what I feel. So as long as I know what I'm talking about, I usually just get up there and speak about how I'm feeling in that moment, about what the subject matter is. And,
it's really a gift. It intimidates a lot of people.
I think as long as you're being honest, and because it's like whether I say what you want me to hear or not, whether I mumble or whatever, it's my truth. For me to pretend I'm something I'm not would be corny. So if I'm a mess up, that's me. I messed up. That's an art. But, the only thing is I don't want to forget certain things. So if I have to have statistics, I'm not good with numbers on the spot like that so much, and pronunciation, a lot of things, So figuring that part out. But at the end of the day, the celebration is that we were able to architect what we wanted our life to look like. And I remember us thinking about what we wanted our life to look like before the baby got here. And this is exactly kind of what it is. We're in Florida. We're living on a lake. I gotta. The one thing I have to figure out better is making sure I can have all my children together at one time. But the thing is, most of my children aren't children anymore, and they're all doing their own thing. So their schedules, it's just so hard to get them all at one time. But I gotta figure that out, and I think we'll have that licked in the next year, and then we want to have another baby.
Yeah.
And going through what we've been through and seeing what other people have gone through. For a woman to be brave enough to just get back into that game and knowing that life is worth that fight and that risk and that pain, because like I was saying, as a man, if I had to push something out of my body, that I don't think we'd have any children, if it was that to go in my body. Honestly, you have to really love life to want to create it and sacrifice sometimes, even though you didn't have to, but your body and all these things and the emotional thing that goes with it,
Oh, and a lot of the people that I met in Virginia had babies or grandbabies similar age as Dusko.
Yeah. Actually, that was cool. Baby Dusko got to kick it with...
Cash, his name with the little boy.
His name is Cash?
Cash. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, with Heather's, that was their grandson.
And he was blonde, too.
And Dimitri, that was his name, man. Dimitri was a funny cat.
Hilarious.
Very helpful. Very funny. Reminded me a lot of Bank.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm excited about right now, completely, is after me being Stedman for the last 4 or 5 days, and it's not a bad thing. I don't mind. Stedman got bread from what I heard, but having my stuff to celebrate.
Yes.
Or our stuff. So I got some new samples in.
Ooh.
So this is my answer to the White on White Nike Air, and this will be out, I think, in like a month and a half. And this delivery finally came in from off the boats. So this is gonna be out. We'll be shipping this week.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. And then I got the samples for this. Remember I got the chains with the rod and mesh in there?
Yep.
The high top. Ooh. I haven't put my foot in this yet. You know what I mean? So, these are the different styles. So the way, so I already have to set up delivery. So after the blue one, so this delivery now, the next month is this one, and then the next month is this one. I think I'm gonna put them both out at the same time. So these are the next 3 deliveries right here.
What about the red? When are
the red is next. A red version of something is next, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bugging. So I think actually it was after this delivery. So this would be May, June. This would be May. No, we're in May now. It's April.
It's April now.
It's gonna be May, June, July, August will be red.
Right. I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you go to bed because you're so tired. I see I'm boring you today.
No, it's not boring.
I don't know what it is. You keep yawning on me like you was.
I gotta stretch.
Like you was shrooming or something. Some kind of did us. But linking up with Jack Claire, being able to have a brand, the clothes are selling good, the clothes, the sneakers, to have it at that price point. For us to be able to individually have our own things, our own brands, instead of helping other people all the time, be able to stand unapologetically behind it, and have a product to sell. The fact that you have a franchise and, we have a studio here now and a television network for you and, the point of view is yours, which is like kind of what you've been my muse, for the last 20, how many years has it been?
Same age as Tallulah, 14.
14?
Yeah.
14 years? You look good.
It's a long time.
Look like you've been doing that little cream on your face. What's the name?
Hyaluronic acid.
Damn dash. But anyway,
I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Yeah, you are.
Dead.
Yeah. So, again, we are in love for a living.
Yes.
I guess that's the name of this, or this vertical.
Thank you.
Of our shows. We have people coming in today to talk about diabetes a little later.
Yes.
And we'll get into that. And it's going to be cool to figure out what we're going to be doing consistently. This is the first time we ever actually got to sit in this studio and just you and I talk and see what it looks like for us to have a show. I remember we did one for Dash Radio years ago, and that was great. We just never continue to do certain things, but
we're always doing a lot of things.
It's just too much. We're never focused on one thing being our business model. We just like to do everything for fun. But if we were to focus on one thing, you've been able to focus on the books.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been able to focus on the movies and the comic books and the sneakers and the clothes and the education and the curriculum. That's pretty much a focus. And the studio and the movie and the app.
Liquor and
the liquor
oil
and the weed and the oil and the hair products.
Mm-hmm. What else are you doing? Everything else. The iPod.
No, you're doing it. It's for Dusko.
No, you're doing one for the, trying to get one in the jails.
Oh, the jails, yeah. Actually, I got to get with Sharon about that. So this was our trip to Virginia. It's almost like we went to and In Love for a Living at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we were also able to show them In Love for a Living.
Yes, and that was good
cool.
to showcase a little bit about our story. And
so they can know about us, yeah. And gave them the trailers and showed them therapy and all these other things we're doing.
People are coming? Yeah.
Oh, so perfect timing. How long did we just talk for?
An hour.
An hour? That was an hour? Damn, when I get with you, I could just talk forever. Love you so much.
Love you too.
Give me a kiss.
Give me a kiss.
24/7.
My nigga Cash.
Y'all know how we
take us home with that motherfucker. I didn't know.
24/7.
So my nigga Freeway, what I've been talking about.
Legends of legends.
365.
24/7. Legends on legends. 24/7. And we cook the 15.
Want race? You ain't gonna race for nothing. 10,000 with me. Quite a good.
Go!
That man don't got no money. Guns, so nobody take that money.
So would anyone else like to question my leadership?
I ain't got time to kick it. I got kids to feed.
That's what happens when you come in my castle. I'm the Prince of Detroit.